All right, man. Back for number 2, man. I'm excited about that. But what I'm really excited about today is, man, we are shining a light on our field service supervisor, Noah Gonzalez. Give it up.
Right on. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Marshall. Mike.
You got it, brother. Good to have you here, man.
Glad to be here, man.
Yeah, awesome. Today we want to just take a little time. It's podcast number 2. It's something new. Something new for all of us, right? And one of the things that Mike and I had said in podcast number 1 was, we don't want it to be about me and Mike. I mean, that'd get boring real quick. But what we wanted it to be about was like the title says, what's in that red truck, right? What really sets that red truck apart from any other truck driving down that street?
Yeah, we want to give everybody kind of a feeling of what happens inside the walls here or in the red truck. Kind of give them an idea of more. We're more than plumbing and HVAC. It's about the people that are here. So I think that's kind of the focus of where it leads us into today.
Yeah, and knowing Redlands and knowing that this is a very community-based town, right? And that we have a lot of members that have been using us for generations. It's good for them to get to know some of those people that really make up our team. And we wanted to start with Noah, as the field service supervisor. You've grown through the company over the last couple of years. Now you're out there training and leading. Yeah. So just as a funny little icebreaker, Noah, got a quick one for you. Uh-huh. If you had to choose one tool out of all those tools on your truck to carry everywhere with you for the rest of your career, what tool would that be?
Oh, man. There's so many I can think of right now, but flashlight.
Universal tool.
Flashlight, measuring tape. Right. And there's certain things you got to have, right? It's like when I'm talking to an apprentice or we're talking about training and stuff like that, first things that come to mind are like flashlight, measuring tape. You got to carry a Sharpie with you, have a notepad and a pen and paper. Yeah. It's
having basics. The right tools for the job.
Yeah,
basics, right?
Yeah.
It's funny, as the trainer for the company, one of the things that we really always want to differentiate ourselves with is making sure that our clients feel like we're there for them and that we're listening and that they're being heard. And, that's one of your strengths. Yeah. You're a great communicator. You do a really good job. I love that you said a paper and a pen. I think a lot of people would think, man, what does that have to do with plumbing? But man, making sure we have a good understanding of what our customers are experiencing and what they're going through, and then making sure that we're able to, connect back to that. I think that's a big part of what we do.
100%. No different than when you'd go into, I would expect my doctor, if I walked in, he would be taking notes about, what I'm dealing with. He's tracking history. There are certain things he's picking up on. And I hope that our clients feel that when I walk into their home, they're being heard, and I'm recording, their history. We're talking about, just what's going on there in their home, and again, they just feel heard, and then it helps remind me, because sometimes so easily we can get into a call. And there's so much there's so much that could be affecting the home and its system.
For sure.
And by taking a good set of notes, you can always reflect back, see if there anything is kind of connected. We're connecting the dots.
All of the history, having something to go back to. Sure. That's amazing. You kind of talk about that in the meetings. It's like you guys are the doctors of plumbing and HVAC. Right?
It's funny that you say that, because that's literally where my head was going. I think a lot of times, we say it kind of jokingly that, we're the doctors of the plumbing and the HVAC system, but it's not really a joke. We're there to, just the same as a doctor would diagnose your body and what's going on and what's that root cause and what's happening here. That's really what we're doing. We're going into that home, and the really good technicians understand that their job is to really listen to what the story that house is telling them. Just like we would tell our doctor, I've been having this pain for this long. It's also showing up here in my body. It's also making me feel this way. That home's going to tell us its own story. And Noah, that's one of the reasons he, quickly rose in the ranks at Redlands and now has worked himself into the field supervisor, is because he really understood that connectivity and that ownership that he had to take as that technician to do a really professional job for that client. So to Noah, just let's dive into you a little bit more. So tell me a little bit more about what got you, into that plumbing industry. What made, I know you come from the military and you can kind of talk about that, but what motivated you to pursue a trade?
Oh man. So my way into the plumbing industry was different. It wasn't originally about joining the trades at all. In fact, I went to school originally for business. I got my degree in business. I jumped into the workforce and realized very quickly I did not like business at all. In fact, I wasn't feeling fulfilled at all doing what I was doing.
That's a big diversion.
Oh man, I just happened to have an experience where I saw an accident on the side of a road. I decided to go out there and help, and firefighters eventually pulled up on scene, and being able to help that person that was in distress at that time. The firefighters pulled me aside and said, like, why are you here? Like, do you know these people? And I was like, no, I just felt like it was the right thing to do. I realized very quickly business wasn't my calling. My calling was to help people. And so I decided to quit everything I was doing business related and then become a firefighter. So went off to school, went to study fire, became an EMT, and then it was just shortly after graduating all of that and earning all of my certs that the military would reach out to me. That's how I got involved in the Army.
Right.
And
no kidding.
Yeah, and so the Army actually reached out to me and said, "Hey, we just heard you graduated. Your medic stuff, and have you ever thought about being a firefighter for the Army?" I was like, "What? I didn't even realize that was a thing. Like, I didn't even realize that was anything." They said, "Yeah, you got active duty and you got reserve options." So for me, killer. I mean, yeah, and so here in California, trying to jump on with like a fire, like a municipality, it's hard. I mean, you got to know somebody, or you got to have a ton of volunteer hours. And so I remember I was doing time with AMR. I was doing time with local fire agencies, and it was difficult. And so when he shot me the opportunity to join the Army and do this firefighting active duty, I knew that jumping into the military, taking advantage of that opportunity, and then eventually leaving the military was going to give me the skills that I needed to jump in with the municipality, but also as a veteran, and then have preference.
Sure.
That was the original plan. And then it wasn't until becoming a firefighter, and now I'm active duty in the military, that unfortunately I hurt myself towards the end of my contract. Now I was in for 5 years active duty, so that I ended up hurting myself on the job. And then getting transitioned out of the military, I was thinking, what am I going to do? There was rehabilitation and everything else involved. What am I going to do? I knew that I couldn't stay with fire, unfortunately. But I knew fundamentally there was something. There's something there. It was that I knew I wanted to help people, and I knew that I loved working with my hands. So between wanting to work with my hands and then helps better serve people, to me, I was just like, man, the trades just to me made sense.
Right. Yeah.
And I'll even tell you, plumbing wasn't even the first trade I looked at. I looked at electrical work.
No kidding.
And then I got shocked on a job once. I was like, whoa, like this is not for me. Like I was like, no, I'm that. Worst case scenario in plumbing, it's like you make a mistake, you get a little bit of water here, or
sure.
People aren't typically dying. I'm not running the risk of getting shocked and stuff, and so. I remember digging through the phone book, believe it or not. I remember digging through the phone book and looking for plumbing apprenticeship programs. And I found the number to an agency. Shout out to PHCC in Anaheim, a really cool school. I went ahead and called them and got in contact with their director. And she said, in order to come to our school, you have to be sponsored by one of our local companies. And I was like, man, well, who's in the area? Because I'm living out at the Beaumont, California area, and so she said, well, Redlands Plumbing, they are actually an affiliate with us, and we can get you linked up with a guy named Wes. Before you knew it, I was here with Redlands Plumbing as an apprentice.
How long ago was that?
Almost 4 years now.
Oh wow,
yeah, so going on about 4 years now. Yeah.
I had been here a couple of years, almost 3 years when Noah had arrived, and Noah and I really hit it off, even just in the interview process. I think we're a lot alike in personalities, and backgrounds. I come from the military as well. I've always been attracted to military employees, right? Because we know they have certain things about them. They understand structure. They understand,
the disciplines are different. The dedication is always there.
Especially in today's world. I mean, let's just be real. That's not something that you see in the civilian world anymore, right? And so that military background is something that we're really interested in. And then when we met Noah and kind of dove a little bit deeper into Noah and his background and his wants and his needs, and it just really was a fit from the beginning. And then, so you did your year apprentice. So he did almost a year of apprenticeship here. Tell me, what do you think the biggest challenge looking at plumbing? There's so much to it. And I know, we always talk about we're learning every day, even, 4 years into your career, you're still learning every day. But What's been the biggest challenge for you early in your career?
I think early in the career, there's this misconception that like you have to know it all from a technical standpoint. That can't be furthest from the truth.
There's no way.
There's so much pressure you place on yourself as an apprentice or just coming into the trades because you're so concerned about, can I use the tools? Do I know how to use the tools properly from a technical perspective? What you quickly end up realizing later is really we're not so much in the plumbing business as much as we're in the people business.
Absolutely.
It's about building relationships with people. You can't do a job if you can't show evidence and you can't speak to people and you can't. And so I picked up on that really quickly, and so that's been really my focus here. Has been just building relationships with people, and then the technical stuff will come.
Mike and I were talking about that in our first podcast. That we're going into that inner sanctum of somebody's home, right? We're going into their kingdom, right? This is their castle, and we're walking in, and sometimes it's intrusive, right? We're having to go into their master bedroom. We're having to go into the attic space. We're having to go, to the bathroom that the Jack and Jill that their kids share.
Right.
That's a vulnerable place for people to invite us, right?
It's amazing to see the difference when you look at guys who go out and haven't quite figured out that communication skill or the making someone feel comfortable about how much more success you see out of those, because it's such a big part of this whole thing. It's like you said, it's a people, you have to have the ability to create a relationship and a bond in a short amount of time. And when you see that, but it's got to be difficult as a supervisor to go to these guys and teach them how to relate to someone or to make them feel comfortable, right? I mean, how do you approach that stuff when you go talk to these guys?
Yeah, so I think we have an excellent process. I mean, really just be yourself, right? Let's be authentic. We're not trying to be anything that we aren't, right?
Yeah.
I think, unfortunately, the industry's gotten such a bad rap because there's such an attempt to be like salesy. Like there's this salesy kind of, people trying to, and we're not about that here at Redlands Plumbing. So I feel very comfortable with our process, the process that Marshall has led us through. It's the only process I know. This is the first plumbing company I've ever been with. It's all I know.
Yeah.
And I believe it's the right way to do things. And what I mean by that is we believe in showing evidence, being solution-based providers that show evidence. And it's the evidence that speaks for itself, really. If a client's coming to me and maybe they're talking about a leaky faucet. Let's just say, for example, they're talking about a leaky faucet. It's easy. It's too easy to tell. It's obvious to know that, they got a leaky faucet. We need to repair or replace something. But rather than just telling my client that we need to repair or replace something, why don't we take a little time with our client? Why don't we take the time to educate and then dive a little deeper into what caused that faucet to leak in the first place? Is there something underlying here that we're not catching? I mean, I hope my doctor would do that for me. Right? If I was walking in with a fever, he could so easily spend very little time and send me home with a bottle of Tylenol. But I would rather him take the time, ask good questions, and tell me why the fever is there to begin with.
Yeah. In the room, we call it root cause analysis, right? And that's really our desired practice. Now, all of our clients aren't excited to hear about that root cause analysis, and that's fair. I get it. No, there's never a good day to have to get a new water heater or change out a pressure regulator or take a look at your pipe. There's never a good day for that. But what there is there's better or worse days than others. And what I mean by that is and Noah and I have seen this a lot, is, unfortunately, there are so many times that we get out to a home and it's too late.
Yeah.
The damage has been done. There's a remediation company there, a Serve Pro, a Dry Down, one of those, remediation companies there. There's drywall removed up to the 4-foot level. There's fans going. There's carpet removed. There's tile gone. And what a crappy day. That poor client, that they've already spent their insurance deductible, whatever that might be, $1,500, $2,500. Heck, I even heard a lady tell me a couple of days ago, it's $5,000 for her was where she set her deductible, right?
Yeah.
And so that poor lady had that cost. Now she's out of her home. She was living down in the Ayers Hotel down over by the bowling alley. While she said it was probably going to be a month before she was going to be able to be back into her home. And getting back, going that 400, 364th degree back to where we were starting this conversation, that's why that root cause analysis is so stinking important. And that's why Noah has been successful, is because we're the ones who are going to be able to get them to understand that bigger picture, right? Why is this happening?
Well, they deserve to know.
Yeah, and whether they do anything.
What am I doing if I'm not coming to the table, showing them everything that's going on with in their home and providing them with good options? If I'm not doing that, I'm not providing a quality.
Isn't it amazing how people don't really realize that? You almost have to teach it, because you go to a doctor, everybody thinks, I don't want you to give me the quick fix. I want you to get in deep and figure it out.
Yeah.
And it's totally acceptable, right? But people don't realize how closely related that is, even though it's not a person, it's a home. But you come into their house and you have to convince them, like, hey, first, trust me, I'm here for the right reason, right? Because there's a lot of people that have created a bad name, maybe. But then to get them to go, yeah, I feel great about spending all this money, and I really want you to go in deeper and find out what's going on, instead of just fix that one little leak right here. We're just going to walk away with it for $200 or whatever that may be.
Yeah, and honestly, Bud, unfortunately, and I hate to say this, because it's the industry that we work in, that's an earned thing. Unfortunately, our industry has been its own self-saboteur, right? I mean, we see it all the time. I mean, we go behind other companies that, and I would never mention any names, but we go behind companies all the time that have just really left a client in a bad place, or they'll tell me that, or they'll tell Noah, or they'll tell one of our technicians, man, I fixed this 3 different times now. And it's like, well, and you ask them that basic question, going back to what you just said, you ask them that basic question. So what did they say was causing this? And the client, it's just a blank stare. Mm-hmm. Well, what do you mean? Well, leaks like this aren't, it shouldn't be an over and over thing. Yeah. So there's a root cause. Did they do any root cause analysis? Did we figure out? And it's just sad, because the answer is they weren't told. Yeah. And that poor customer has spent money over and over and over. And now, more importantly, they got to spend it again. And that root cause is still out there, right? And so, of course, they have mistrust. Of course, they have. Why wouldn't they? I mean,
and here's the thing too. I'd like to just add. I don't necessarily expect them to trust me at all. In fact, I expect them not to be trusting me. But that's why I rely less on just what I say and more on what's going on. Like, I want to provide them with good evidence. If we're dealing with a water quality issue, I want to show them where the water quality, what it looks like. I want to take water quality tests.
Look at the EWG website.
Let's look at this. The resources are out there. Let's pull that faucet apart and take some time, rather than just uninstall the faucet, slap in a new one, and throw that old one in the back of the truck. Yeah. Let me break that old faucet apart and show them the calcium buildup and the discoloration. And I want them to see it, because it's important that they know there's something going on here. And
to Noah's point, I mean, I think almost if you walked up to any homeowner in Southern California, and if you said to them, "Hey, do you know you have hard water?" The answer would be yes, right? Most people have heard that, right? From whether it's been a TV commercial, whether it's been a plumber that's been out to their home, whether it's been their sister, mother, aunt, brother, uncle, whoever, they know they have hard water. But there's still a gap. The gap being, what is it doing to my particular home? Mm-hmm. What is it doing to my particular faucet, my particular water heater, and that's the difference in the way that we want to interact with our client, and that Noah has just done such a great job of, is making sure that they understand their particular situation. It's not what we want to show them, it's what their house is showing.
And it's so important to add to that as a technician, we're not being pushy. It's so important. We want to deliver the information. I want to clearly be able to lay out for you what's going on with you in your home, for your home. But really, it's the choice that you make is okay. That's 100% okay. Sure. But what's not okay is for me to not clearly explain to you and give you good options, a way out. Mm-hmm. I want to show you what's going on in your home, and what you choose to do is okay. Yeah. And I want you to know I support you. I want you to know everything that you're getting, but also what you're not getting with each option.
Yeah, it's that giving the options, not making them feel pressured.
Never.
That's the key to it. Absolutely.
If you're feeling pressured, it's probably not the right person to do it.
Absolutely.
To do business with. That's 100%. Just, I tell my wife that all the time, like when she's going shopping somewhere or she's having to make a decision. I said, listen, if you ever feel pressured, that's probably not the right place, because that's not a place that's wanting you and allowing you to make a good, educated buying decision. Mm-hmm. You want somebody who's going to give you the information, allow you to, digest that information, marinate on that information, and then if there's any questions, answer those questions openly and honestly, and then in that moment, make that good buying decision.
Yeah.
Couldn't agree more.
Talk to me about, you've had a lot of success here. You spent your entire career with this here. Talk to me about, leading your team and leading by example. What's your approach to that? How do you take a room full of guys that are, essentially on their own every day and get them to find keys to this, to being successful in this thing.
I think part of it's, it really starts with the morning meetings that we've always had, that Marshall's led. It starts with the vision. I think here at Redlands Plumbing, I mean, we have a vision for the client experience. We have a vision for, the service we want to provide, being the difference in the industry.
Yeah.
Those things are important for us. So making sure that we're first all on the same page with the vision is important. I think it's easy. I think, well, not easy necessarily, but I feel like it's I lead by example. And so being that I've been here with the company, I mean, when I first started, I didn't know how to hold a wrench. The older guys here, they taught me how to hold a pair of channel locks. I was holding them backwards.
Right.
I didn't know how to turn, is it lefty loosey, righty tighty? How is that different when something's upside down, right? And so I learned, the guys relate to me because I'm one of them.
Right.
I'm one of them. I was in the trenches. I came in as an apprentice. I worked my way up as a technician, found success there, and then now stepping into a field supervisory role. I've been there and done that for them. And so I feel like I relate very easily to them, and we connect and we deeply care. I think when your guys know that you care about them and their success, they want to partner with you.
Yeah, I agree. I'll give you a 2-second story of nothing's 2 seconds.
I was going to say, you're lying now. Come on, man.
If you ever come into the office, you'll see on my door, it says the mouth of the South. There's never 2 seconds. But a quick story about Noah that kind of was my first moment of knowing I knew from meeting him that he would be a good technician, but one of the first times I knew that he would be a leader was, he had been in his career for a while. We had hired a second apprentice, and Noah was just barely getting into his truck. I'm pretty sure, he is just getting into his truck. And we go out into the where we have all the trucks parked in the afternoon, and the board had kind of died down. The day was kind of coming to a close, and I walk out there, and there's Noah and that new apprentice, and Noah's out there teaching this young apprentice how to solder. Right? They were just taking that moment and that opportunity to just, instead of just water cooler talk and just sitting around not doing anything productive, they were taking that time to grow and to learn. And so for me, that was like a quick moment where I was like, this is a guy that wants to not only build himself but build other people. So I definitely applaud you for that. That's a big.
Yes, let's give it up.
Yeah, give it up.
Thank you.
That's a big,
Shout out to Miguel.
that's a big thing though. Let's look at it. In real life, not everybody's meant to lead teams. That's just a reality. I think everybody might say they want to lead teams, but there's a difference between, and we talk about this a lot in our leadership group, that there's a difference between being a manager and a leader.
Sure.
And managers, technicians might do what they say because they have a manager's title, they're afraid to lose their job, whatever the case might be. But man, when they are following a true leader, somebody who they know who has the best, there's no question about, am I going to follow that guy, right? Mm-hmm. They're doing it not out of have to, they're doing it because they want to.
They want you.
You're in. That's really what we look for when we're looking to make those transitions into that leadership / management or supervisor role. We're looking for guys who kind of live out what we call great here in our company. That stands for growth, respect, excellence, accountability, and thankfulness. We look for those character traits, and then from there, guys that really exemplify those character traits, we're gonna try to come alongside those people and marry that up. So Noah, earlier you were talking a little bit about it, but I definitely want to, because you do a great job with this. You get so many calls that people are calling, hey, can I get Noah back out at my house?
I love that.
So me too. It's amazing, just not to interrupt you, but how many times I see, whether it's reviews or people calling in and actually requesting certain guys.
Yeah.
And there's a I don't think it's an accident that some guys have a lot of success and get those calls a lot more, and it's part of that leadership and that knowing how to handle the customer and make them feel good about what's going on. But it is amazing to see how many people actually request by name. I you don't see that very often in a lot of companies.
For sure.
So it's good to see. It's a nice atmosphere we have with our family here.
So I kind of smile when I'm looking down at my next bullet point because it's a word that Noah and I hate, and it's the word trust, right? I'm not a big believer in the word trust. When I think of the word trust, I tell the image that I paint for the guys in the training room is, man, trust to me is like, hey man, my kids are at home and I need somebody to go watch them. Will you go watch that's a person that I trust.
Right.
Trust is a guy that I'm like, hey man, my keys and my wallet are on the counter. Dude, can you go get those? I trust that guy.
Yeah,
right.
Those are, hey, can you watch my house for me, man? I'm going to be gone for a month.
Sure. You feel good about
can
it.
you watch my house?
Yeah.
That's trust. So I tell our guys all the time that I don't believe in the word trust in our relationship, especially in a 2.5, 3 hour. I think that's a little overplayed word. And I think a lot of sales trainers like myself out there, unfortunately use that word and it really gets a negative connotation. So no, let's just talk about building that relationship. What do you think is your ability? The reason you get so many callbacks from clients again and again, how do you make them feel comfortable with those purchases? I know you talked about it a little bit with evidence, but can you just dive into that a little bit more?
I think it's just being authentic. It's not trying to be anybody you aren't. It starts when you first pull up. It starts with preparing for the call, looking at the history, being the right guy for the job, not being pushy. It's taking the time. Don't be lazy. Take the time, get into the work, show the evidence, let the evidence speak for itself. I think my clients, they really feel that when I'm there and be considerate, guys. We're walking into their home. Wear your shoe covers. You're walking into you're bringing through what could be really nasty equipment.
Waste.
Protect their home. Don't put your tools on their counter. People pick up on things like that. It's the small details.
Yeah. It really is. Yeah. You notice that as a homeowner when somebody comes in that home that you don't know. It's like, what is he doing?
Yeah.
It's
be
huge.
Ask questions. You're using power equipment. It's like, ma'am, I just want to let you know it might get a little loud in here. Would you like me to close the door? Mm-hmm. Hey, ma'am. It's
sure. Is there anybody in the home that's going to be, some kids that might be on the spectrum or something? Loud noise can be very impactful.
Absolutely. It's like, ma'am, I might need to shut down the water for an hour or two to perform this repair. Would you like an opportunity to use the restroom or collect any water before I get started? Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's just so important. I try to think about treat people the way you would want your family to be treated. I know that sounds super cliche, but it really is. It's true.
The sad reality is communication is the lost art in today's world.
It's getting worse.
And it's not getting better. And one of the, my wife and I, we have little things that we do at our house to try to, work on that. Like we have, Sundays, there is no tablets, no phones, we want to get back to just communicating with one another, looking at each other in the eye when we're having that conversation. Yeah. It is the lost art. And I think people do feel the difference when you are taking that time and that you're it's not about you. This is their home. This is their castle. Right. This is their money. This is their experience. Yeah. And what we should be looking at is that and that alone.
Yeah.
The rest will take care of itself.
In my early years coming up as a plumber, my focus wasn't so much on selling the job or selling the repair. It was being the difference.
Yep.
That was it. That was my sole focus. I knew that the plumbing industry as a whole, unfortunately, it seems like has gotten a really bad rap.
Sure.
My goal wasn't to do anything more than be the difference. I wanted to be a person that they feel like, man, this guy, maybe I did go or didn't go through with the repair, but that guy treated me good. He was a good guy.
Right.
That's it.
It sounds so small, right?
Yeah.
And that's
ultimately the thing that leads to all the success, whether it's personally or with the company or whatever. It really is. That's the start. I mean, you have to have that.
Well, Noah, whether it's here at work, whether it's in his personal life, one of the things that he is consistent. Consistency is the key to everything, right? We like to make all these, big, fancy things. There's podcasts out there today on how to be successful in 90 days. And let me give you 7 tools to success. And here's the reality. Being consistent in who you are, knowing who you are, that's the start and the end of all of it. If you're not being upfront and honest with who you are and and a clear goal of what you want, Noah, he started this whole thing with, we, as a team, we have a desired goal and outcome, right? It's all about the client experience. You kind of started
Absolutely.
and that is such a fundamental piece, and that we always talk about in the classroom, that if we're going in there with that client experience in mind, the outcome will take care of itself. And I don't really care what that outcome is, because today might not be the day that the client chooses to do anything, and that's okay. Right. But what is still important in that moment is that they had a great experience.
Sure.
And that they felt like whoever was there, whether it was Noah, whether it was myself, whether it was, any of my HVAC technicians or plumbers, that guy, I chose not to move forward today, but that guy was the right guy. Yeah, when I am ready to do something, it's them I'm calling back.
Right.
Yeah.
But though I love this part of it, and we did this for me last week. Tell me your craziest Redlands and Henry Bush plumbing story so far. What is the weirdest thing that you've ran into?
The weirdest thing?
Yeah, it's just kind of funny to think, because we run into some weird situations.
Or the worst.
Oh, man.
What's your you got any big stories for that kind of thing?
No, I mean, there are plenty that come to mind. I'm thinking about whether or not they're appropriate for the show. But
I know some of them we can't talk about here.
Yeah, I mean, some pretty nasty ones. Yeah, definitely come to mind. Some odd ones. Like I found a Hulk doll in a toilet once. The toilet was backed up. Couldn't understand
the Incredible Hulk.
The Incredible Hulk. Yeah, one of the kids it was a daycare facility, and one of the kids had flushed like an Incredible Hulk doll down the drain. And so, come to find, I thought, that was interesting.
What a common thing that's hard is to get a customer over that hill, right? And you walk in and you say, "Hey, I'm good diagnosed. Here's the evidence. Here's everything that's going on, and here's this amount that it's going to cost."
Yeah.
How do you overcome objections when a customer is maybe on the fence of, do I do this or do I do a quick fix?
I'll tell you, when you said the word objections, I rarely get objections, and I think the reason why is because I'm closing those doors that we talk about ahead of time. Am I the right guy? Am I providing the right solutions? Did I make it affordable for the client? Why Redlands Plumbing? Why me? I'm answering a lot of those questions throughout the call. So they feel very comfortable with me as I'm walking them through. I think if I provided them a good way out, I mean, none of it's cheap, right? None of it's cheap. I mean, ideally, I'd love to be able to perform all of these services free and just get them taken care of. But unfortunately, things cost money, and so money is a topic of conversation. It does seem to be the probably the biggest objection. Maybe is maybe the cost, but you know what? It's I think if I want them ultimately to see the value. I think I work really hard at providing value, and hopefully they see the value in partnering with Redlands Plumbing, partnering with me, feeling like they got the right guy, and that I'm also providing them with the right solutions. What they choose to do is okay, but I'm proud to say that we do offer financing, and we have some excellent financing plans, and that makes things affordable, easily affordable. And I know for me in my own home, if I was experiencing an issue, I mean, having some of those things in place would be
it makes the decision a lot easier.
The thing I love about Noah and is he's a student, and what I mean by that is I lead the team, but I'm still a student. I'm always trying to learn. We're always trying to get better. Noah is that same way. He really self-critiques himself and is always looking for that moment. I can't tell you. I mean, we talk 3 or 4 times a day on the phone every day that he's here, right? Not because he needs Marshall to help him with something. It's just because, again, we value. We both know we're on that same wavelength. We both want the best for Redlands Plumbing. We both want the best for our clients. We both want our own personal growth. So we're always looking for that. And if you look at the leadership that we have here on the team, whether it's Noah, myself, you, Mike, and your department, Dan, it doesn't matter where you look. Yeah, I mean, take it to Tyler, the owner of the company. Everybody's looking to get bigger, faster, stronger, right? Everybody is aware that they have areas of growth, that they have areas of need. And, in the classroom, I have this saying that I haven't put up on the wall yet, but I just got to get it put up on the wall. But we talk about the power of the deficit, right? Understanding where we have room for that growth, and that understanding and getting excited about finding that deficit, right? Because that means that, hey, I just identified something that I can get bigger, faster, and stronger at. And Noah does a really good job with that. And sometimes almost to a fault where I'll be like, hey man, you're doing a great job. But it's because he really does care about, he's like, man, I just really want to make sure I took care of the customer. And, and man, when you come at things with that heart, the rest of it is going to take care of itself.
And your client feels it.
Sure.
They know. They know you're working for them. You're trying.
Yeah, they can see. You get a feeling for that kind of thing when somebody's in there.
Absolutely.
I'll ask you this, Noah. I think for our side of it, why do you think maintenance is important for a customer? We sell maintenance plans, right? We sell memberships, right? We love our members, and heck, we've had members that have been members now for almost 20 years. Why is that membership or that maintenance so important?
Oh my goodness! Because I will tell you, 90% of the calls that I go to, the damages that were done could have very easily been prevented with maintenance, proper maintenance. We talk about, when I was younger, my grandfather raised me, right? My grandfather raised me. I remember getting my first car. It was a Nissan hardbody, little truck.
Nice.
In 1992 Nissan hardbody, right? And he gave it to me. I worked all summer shoveling rocks. I didn't know I was getting it, but he gave it to me at the end of the summer as a gift. I was 16. Cool. And anyways, when he gave me that truck, he talks about things like, hey, take care of this truck, take care of the truck, and it'll take care of you, right? There's maintenance that needs to be performed on this truck. Check your tires for tread, check the oil, before you go on any major trip, every 3,000 to 5,000 miles. It's just things you do, right? That everybody talks about those things, but then you go and you make a home purchase that costs, 50 times what a Nissan hardbody costs, and nobody talks to you about the maintenance. They just hand you the keys and they say, all right,
enjoy.
Congratulations.
It's kind of amazing when you think about that. That's the biggest purchase you're going to get.
Funny. I used that same example last week, right?
Yeah.
It's crazy that people don't realize, and it's trying to convince people it's an uphill struggle, right?
Yes.
I mean, it's not a big investment as far as a monthly cost, but it's just a huge uphill battle to go, this is important, you got to do it.
Well, I love the line you said there, because that's actually the line that, man, I love that. You said, like your grandfather said, take care of the truck, and it will take care of you.
100%.
And that is such a true statement. A lot of people don't understand on the plumbing side. There's multiple. The water heater has a massive maintenance schedule. Even your drains to be maintained and looked at and inspected. Your water pressure and your pressure rate. I mean, the list goes on and on. But back to Noah's point.
Yeah.
Most things could have been prevented.
Absolutely.
It's funny. I remember listening the other day to a phone call you were on with a customer, and he was talking about the water heater. I think we were in, you said something about the maintenance plan. You started talking to him about it. He says, with this maintenance plan, it's great. It's really important, kind of explaining. And the guy says, I've had it for 10 years and I've never done one thing to it and it's fine. And I thought, that's right when that thing's going to happen. And imagine what it would probably last you if you would have just done that. So it's
well, and here's the problem. See, here's the problem with most of our plumbing. The plumbing problems are out of sight, out of mind, and we don't know until that disaster happens. I was just at a house yesterday where the whole roof of the bathroom has collapsed because the water it's over in the over on the backside of Sunset over there, and the plumbing in all these new houses run in the attic of the house and. Unfortunately, there was multiple leaks in this bathroom area. The builder of that community used M copper, so the weakest copper out there. And unfortunately, the damage. I mean, the thing that really the saddest part that this customer was most mad about was that they had a big chandelier that they had there was this glass person over in Italy. The guy fell in love with the chandeliers that he made for people. They literally ordered one, had it sent to the United States, over $25,000.
Oh my goodness.
And well, when the roof collapsed, there went the chandelier. So those are the things, and we do that all the time. So let me ask you this: if what do you think is the future of plumbing? What do you see coming down the pipe that kind of makes you maybe a little nervous, makes you excited? What do you see coming?
Oh man, I see partnerships with electrical companies.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see things going electric. Yeah. We're trying to diversify.
The state's making it go that way.
I mean, here in California, it seems like everything's changing, and it's changing
rapidly.
quickly.
Yeah.
And they're trying to move us away from using gas appliances. They want things to start going electrical. I mean, you see it on all the new construction builds for the homes. They're now every new home is coming with solar. Yeah. So, it's we're finding, water heaters. They're trying to move away from natural gas water heaters. They want to use the fuel pump type water. Or it's the heat pump. Yeah. Sorry,
That's
heat
where
pump
it's going.
water. Yeah, they're using refrigerant and
electricity. And what a difficult task for us as plumbing and HVAC techs, because the cost.
Oh my God.
It's going to be something that there is going to be a sticker shock.
Absolutely.
I mean, you're talking about going from an average water heater now, $2,500 to $3,500, depending on the size and what it's needed to bring it up to code. You're talking about something that's going to be $10,000 to $12,000.
Wow, it's that big of a difference.
Here's the problem, Mike. They don't fit where a water heater goes currently. The venting is completely different. The
space requirement,
the space around the piece of equipment.
Exactly.
So and it's not going to be it's the time to install it. You're talking about a water heater that takes us 2 to 4 hours. Now we're talking about a complete day and possibly more with inspections. I mean, it's going to be, the sticker shock is going to be outrageous, and we don't have a choice. It's where California's going.
Yeah, and some of the things we can't control is, especially here in the area that we live in, here in the Redlands area, we're dealing with homes that are 1940s, 1950s, 1960s.
Yeah, they're definitely not set up to.
They're not set up to handle this. So many of them might require electrical upgrades.
Right.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, my house included. I mean, if you put a big, a heat pump system that's working, I can tell you right now, I would have to get a panel upgrade.
You would have to do something.
It's done. If my wife and I choose to stay in that house, in the long run, I can already tell you, new water heaters for sure are going to have to come in at some point. But with that new technology, I'm also looking at a $3,000 to $5,000 panel upgrade. Wow. So and those are hard conversations, because we're coming in, and customers are going to have a set expectation. I mean, we have a set expectation for most things in our life, right? Because we've done it before, or somebody's told us what that comparable price should be. Man, that first couple of years when that transition's happening, and they're saying it's going to happen at 2030. I mean, sometimes they get.
Are there advantages to the heat pump? Let's say from a customer's perspective. If you're talking to them and this becomes something they have to do, what is the differences between the two?
I would definitely say efficiency and then capacity also. Yeah, you're going to get a higher capacity. So, usually when we're talking about a 50-gallon replacement, like a tank style water heater, 50-gallon, we would more than likely upsize them with a heat pump. So we might be looking to install something like a 75-gallon. Part of that has to do with the recovery rate a little bit, because it's going to take longer to heat the water. And to help compensate for that, we're going to give them more water. They're going to have more water on reserve.
Gotcha. Because they could starve themselves out, and they'll be like, well, we're not able to meet the demand that we met before. A family like mine, on the weekend, we're a family of 5. You got 5 people taking,
empties it out.
My girls especially, they want a full bath.
Mine too. This morning we dealt with the same thing. It was like everybody was showering at the same time, and it's all of a sudden the water halfway through the shower is cold. It's like, oh God.
Yeah, no, I haven't looked into the specifics yet.
Yeah.
It's still something I'm doing a lot of research on, but they do say that there's supposed to be a significant efficiency and energy savings, because it's pulling ambient air, and it's doing in addition to the electrical that it's being provided, because it's also got elements. And so so it's kind of like a hybrid system, which is unique, but definitely something we're still diving into and still doing.
Think about the investment the companies have to make, like Redlands Plumbing, the training alone. Now you have to do that, and you got to know all these new things. And
we've already started investing in that now.
We've been doing get ahead of it, right?
There is a time and money investment for us as a company, for sure. So, well, Noah, I tell you, man, I want to wrap it up by, I love, you're a story of success, man, and I love that, these moments that we have with watching young guys go. I hate being the old guy in the room, right? I just turned 50 this year. And
you are pretty old, man.
I'm getting there, man. I tell you, and it sneaks up on you. You don't feel that. But, man, watching these younger guys, a lot of these guys that I train in that training room every day could be my children, right?
Yeah.
I'm that old now. And but it's beautiful to watch you guys grow. I love watching you mature in your career and I'm sure one day you'll be sitting in this seat and kicking butt and taking names. We're thankful that you're part of the team.
Yeah.
Before we wrap up totally, one other thing I kind of want to just jump back on something real quick. When it comes to careers in the plumbing or the HVAC industry, what's your advice for a guy who gets out of high school and says, hey, I want to be in the trades, I want to be a plumber? What's the best route to get there and in the correct but timely manner, and what's the way to go in your opinion?
Yeah, I mean, I get excited just hearing that, the idea of new guys, because I think it's something that guys aren't talking enough about. I don't think schools are doing enough. I would love to see schools push more trades.
Right. Me too.
There's such a shortage right now. Such a shortage, guys. Like when you look at the market, job market, there's most of the guys that were they're now retiring. They're moving into that retirement phase. They're leaving, and so there's a major labor shortage right now. Finding skilled labor is difficult. Quality skilled labor is hard to find. It would be nice to partner maybe with schools or local ROP groups and help educate and get out there and show these young guys that you could have a very successful career here in the trades. It doesn't have to necessarily be go to college, or because again, I came from college, and after that 4-year investment plus jumping out to work, it still doesn't guarantee happiness. It doesn't. And
I think it's examples like Noah that are what's more needed, right? I think over the for decades, it was like go to college or you're not successful,
right?
And that is such a unhonest answer for children, right? Like there are so many other paths that they can take, electrical, HVAC, plumbing, welding. My son and I are having those conversations right now. He's a sophomore in college, a sophomore in high school, and school isn't his. He's okay at school, but
it's not for everybody.
It's not for everybody. And so I'm excited.
Trades are a great career. It's just being involved here and seeing the difference in what you don't when you don't know, but when you actually get involved and you see it. So I tell my son, my 17-year-old, I'm like, dude, he wants to be a pilot, but we talked about trades. I'm like, trust me, that's the way. Unless you have like a specific need of like a lawyer, doctor, or something like that, I've encouraged him to look at those other options because trades are great. It's just a great career.
It's amazing. It's provided me. I'm so thankful for this company and the opportunities that it's given me. Purchased my first home earlier this year, very awesome. First time. That's it. That was super exciting for me and my family.
Very cool.
Never something I've ever done before. But there's something to be said about learning a hard set of skills. Coming home at the end of the day after a long day's worth of work, knowing that you did something. You showed up to someone's house. There was something going on there, right? There was a problem. You fixed that problem. You rebuilt that problem. You replaced whatever it was that you did. You could stand back and look at your work and say, "I'm proud of this."
I did that.
That's cool.
Yeah. It's funny. One of the things we always laugh about. I'll be driving with my wife and. You have these. Oh man, we lined that house right there. We lined that house, and my wife's looking at me like, I don't care, But it's just these moments of pride that you have.
Yeah, the kids get a kick out of it, man. When I'm driving with the kids, and I'm like, I worked over there on that, Skechers building or whatever, and they're like, what?
Yeah, that's cool.
They want
you should see the roof on that building, and they're like. What? It's exciting, Mike, what's the game plan for the next show, bud?
The next show, we're actually going to have Marissa in here, so we're going to do a HR related show. We're going to talk about the
I'm out.
Things. You were in here.
I am HR.
You can't leave me yet.
No. Good. So
that's an important part of this thing, and the hurt thing ties into making sure that we have I'm lacking the word here, but we have a good face on us, and that our team's happy, and then we have a lot of opportunity. In Redlands Plumbing, the one thing I love here is we have a lot of the opportunities to take care of us, right? Between all the benefits we have and the matching and
401k.
Yeah, it's great. So we're going to have a show coming up with that. We have a couple other things planned for the next couple weeks that are already in the books. This show, when you guys see this, it's going to be past Christmas already. January 1st, it's going to go out.
Okay.
So we're going to have 4 shows next month, but this will kind of kick off the official start of 2025. So
and Mike, because I know your kids will listen, I want to tell you thank you for all your hard work there, man.
Of course, man. I love doing this stuff.
You've been doing a great job with us. I tell you, it's very important. Going back to what we kind of started with, our industry has earned a very negative perspective, and it's kind of sad that it's that way,
Yeah.
right? And we know that, and we do want to be the difference. Noah, you do a great job every day of going out there and being the difference. Mike, you do a great job of highlighting us as the difference. And I'd like to just close it out by saying, that's the goal with even this podcast, is showing customers that there is a difference out there. You have choices to make, and we want to earn that right to become that choice for you. And guys like Noah out there servicing our clients. So I really, I'm really excited about where this is going, and
me too.
Excited about it.
Yeah, and to kind of piggyback on that, to also kind of answer that question that you had asked, like for the new guys, for guys that are looking at joining the trades and whatnot, I would say just get plugged in. Don't be afraid. Get excited. Partner with your local plumbing company. I would love to be able to work with you guys, the young guys that are coming in, and we can work on skills and tools and soldering and the whole bit. And
I think that's the biggest piece of it, though, is finding the right company.
Right.
Just as much as it's important for our customers to find the right company, but if you're entering the world, we've all had bad employers. We've all had bad leaders, bad examples. In my military career, that really shaped how I became a manager. I saw bad leadership and I saw good leadership, right? And my grandpa told me, those bad ones are actually going to teach you more than the good ones. Learn the guy you don't want to be. Learn the manager you don't want to be. Learn the leader that you would never want to follow. Use that, grow from that, and I really did. And I would say that to the young guys out there is find the right company.
That's right.
Find the right company. Find the people that want to grow you, that want to make you into whatever it is that you want to be.
I think we should encourage people, even if you don't have any experience, right, to come in and go. If you have a personality, you're an honest, good person and a hard worker, I think that's the base of what we need, right?
Absolutely.
All that other stuff, if you've got even 2 cents worth of handyman skills, you can come in here, even if you don't, and
we'll teach you what you need to do.
Yeah, it's all the personality, I think, is the main thing, and being the right guy is more important. But anyways, for our listeners, I think that's about wrap it up. But if you guys want to follow us on all our social media, it's going to be Redlands and Henry Bush. It's across the board. You'll find this episode on YouTube and then soon on Apple. And then we will be accessible. And please send in any kind of questions that any of our listeners have, and some advice on what you guys would like to hear. Right?
I love it. I think I can't wait for the day we're able to say, hey, we got this question from Linda, and hey, so we wanted to make sure we hit that.
We'll start taking live calls maybe one day.
No. But I'm excited about that, because that's what really, hopefully, this will allow us to do, is really answer some good questions. Get people to feel confident in whatever choices they're making, whether it's with us or somebody else. That part's irrelevant. Really, what we care about is people getting good education and good information.
Well, I want to thank Noah for coming in and being on the show. And everybody, don't forget, this is the place to find out more about life, work, and everything in between with Redlands and Henry Bush. We'll check you guys later.